Thank you in particular over there. The long clap. Oh, photos? Let me give you my Mr. Showbiz pose. Where's the flash? Oh, there it is. Maybe I wanted that shot. Good for you too? I'm sorry. It is. Get out of the way and play something. That's that note just for you, sir. Can I have a little bit more of me in the monitor?
that kid is pretty good. He's not so bad. Hi there, boys and girls. Going to try this again. Not sure what happened. We had a catastrophic failure here in the 1:30 show, the erstwhile 1:30 show, which is now the 3 o'clock show. For those of us on the West Coast, sorry to be parochial. For those of you on the East Coast, it's later. And those of you in the British Isles, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, trying to be inclusive and politically correct, and Germany and England and all them eastern places, the Far East we call it here in California, welcome. Stevie Coyle here, webcasting solo without the benefit of Miss Valerie, who's off doing her Spanish class right now. So it's just me, and I'll be stumbling along. This will probably be even clumsier than usual. So expect anything, expect nothing, and be ready for anything. Let me check my notes here. Howdy. Tony Becker's present. Laura McQueen is present. Very good. All right. You know what? That first set that I did, until things blew up, I don't know what the hell happened, but things blew up. And until then, it was fantastic. I was fantastic. So I'm going to try and replicate those. Actually, there are a couple of requests that since that whole thing blew up, I don't think you can even go back and look at the previous part of the show before somebody stepped on the cord between here and Facebook. I don't think you can even look at that. And I had some requests, so I'm going to stumble along here. And things were drifting into a sort of Yorma stream, which is just fine by me. One of my big influences as a teenager, young adult, and old dude. Here's the euphemism blues. A nickel is a nickel and a dime is a dime. I need a new gal, that old one won't mind to tell me how long. Baby, do I have to wait? Can I get you now? Said Lord, must I hesitate? Euphemism and a turn around. The rocks in the ocean, the fish in the sea, they know you mean the whole world to me. How long must I have to wait? Can I get you now? Oh Lord, must I hesitate? You know the eagle on the dollar says, in God we trust. You say you want a man, you want to see that eagle first. To tell me how long, baby, do I have to wait? Can I get you now? Oh Lord, must I hesitate? Got the hesitation stockings, got some hesitation shoes, and you know I got them doggone hesitation blues. The show was supposed to be at 1:30, but now it's at 3. Can I play my songs now? Lord, must I hesitate? It was down in old Joe's barroom, the corner by the square. The usual crowd was assembled, and Big Joe McKinney was there. He was standing at my shoulder. His eyes were bloodshot red. Turned to the crowd around him, and these were the very words that he said. Let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. Spend this whole world over, and she never found a sweet man like me. I think I missed a big plot point there, Sarah. I went down to St. James Infirmary, Jesus. I saw my baby there, laid out on that big white table, so cold, so white, so fair. A minor does this to you. Everybody sing along, okay? Who can turn the world on with her smile? Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? Well, it's you, girl, and you should know it. With each glance and every little movement you show it, love is all around, no need to waste it. You can have the town, why don't you take it? You're gonna... Excellent. It's a whine along. Feel free to join in. Well, how about that? Oh, I'm so far behind on your comments. Let me see what you've been saying and requesting. Hey, Jake Silver's watching. Great young guitarist. Terrific. Out of Portland. Terrific. Check him out online. Jake Silver. S-O, capital S, small O, small F, small E, small R. Jake Silver. Terrific. Debbie Ford Scriba. Perhaps a mashup? Oh, perhaps. Sometimes A minor does that to you. There's so much cool stuff written in A minor that sometimes they all just sort of, me next, me next, me next. Have a bit of that. Hey, Frank Fodesky, nice to see you. The flat top, I'm making it sing. Well, thank you very much. This flat top is a Ted Thompson guitar. There's that little stylized T up there. And this is a fellow that used to work for another Canadian builder who shall remain nameless, and then went off on his own and started building these guitars. And this guitar just kind of jumped up and bit me on the butt when I was working at Griffin Stringed Instruments years ago, selling guitars and changing lots of strings. That was kind of my job. Boy, you know, when I get up there in front of the pearly gates, I wonder if I can make a deal with St. Peter there and say, listen, if I could have back just the time that I spent changing strings, that'd be really cool. I suppose that would depend on where my ultimate destination was. But there I was at Griffin, and there was a fellow who wanted the M36 Geek Alert, the sign of the G, Guitar Geek, Geeky. There was a fellow that wanted the guitar I had, at Martin M36. He said, if you ever sell this guitar, I get first dibs. So he wanted that guitar. I wanted this guitar, which just, I was changing the strings on it. And I didn't want a cutaway particularly, but this one just jumped up and said, I'm yours. You just need to find the money for me. The other guy had the money for me. So he did well, I did well, Griffin did well, and I've been playing this guitar on stage for a lot of years. Kaz, how are you doing? Dave Kasanjan, excellent. Look at this. I feel like Miss Nancy. Larry Kuhn, Charlie Early from back east. Hey, Maine. How are you, Maine? Good to see you. Going back through the notes here. Hey, Frank Buffum. Yes. I feel a melody. The mashup, more cowbell. Absolutely. Joe Dennis watching. Very good. Oh, this is fun. Marcus Brundle, Chris Stern, Patrick Duffy, Eric Belmer. Terrific. Hey, Eric, how are you? Been enjoying your web streams as well. BEHLMER. I shouldn't have had to look at that. I was a spelling champion in first grade. Talk about nerdism. This is the sign of the N. Big nerd. Learned to read real early and became kind of a weird spelling nut. This part of my brain developed the spelling lobe. This little tiny thing just was throbbing away in there and developed very, very quickly and very fully. And I won the grammar school spelling bee in first grade. And then I won the district-wide spelling bee in 8th grade. And then later on, years and years later, I was traveling with a little circus called the Royal Liechtenstein Circus. And we were playing a show in, was that Portland? No, Tacoma, Washington, with the fellow who was hosting the show there. It was a great little traveling circus, little tiny show, the world's smallest complete circus. And the fellow who was hosting us there was an alum of the circus himself. Excuse me. And we were all hanging out, and he said, and he was introducing his friends around, and he said, Mary Brabeck, this is Stevie Coyle, and her pupils got that big, boop, just like that, and she said, you're the little shit that beat me in the spelling bee back in 1970 at Holy Angels Grammar School and I had to admit that, yes, I was. But it was her own doggone fault. She got spelled down. She didn't capitalize centigrade. Oh, come on, Mary. Give me a break. That was a gimme. I wanted to win fair and square, so I agree. Kind of a cheat. Where were we? Playing music, I thought. But gabbity gab gab gab. It's an over-caffeinated web show today. Hey, Pam Weber is watching. You like the backyard here? Isn't that something? This is, we're on the upper terrace today. We were on the lower terrace before. This is the upper terrace. And I think next time, just because it's so hot out here today, I think we'll probably move to the wine cellar next time. That seems to be, I think that's what's going to happen. Back to the music, and why don't we? I felt a great cry go up. Play something. This is the one I played. I hope I can play it half as well. God, I kicked butt on this on the 1:30 show that you'll never see. So I'm going to try it again. A song, and this is what kind of led into a whole Yorma Fest. Requests for Yorma stuff. I started off with Hesitation Blues, which of course it was my high school experience. Was pretty much sitting on the edge of the bed working on that first Hot Tuna record, and that was the first cut on the first side. So this isn't, Yorma did this one, but this one is by Roy Bookbinder, and it's called Another Man Done a Full Go Round, and it's Always apt, and maybe too apt these days. That isn't wrong. That is really wrong. I blame the schools. Let's try it again. Put him in the ground, 6 feet down, till you hear that coffin sound. You can weep and you can moan, but that old boy is never coming home. Another man done a full go round. Another man done a full go round. We can tell our tales, we can laugh and joke, ponder all day about the words he spoke. You can run and you can't hide, death come creeping up by your side. Another man done a full go round. Another man done a full go round. No more fussing about this or worrying about that, taking out the dog or letting in the cat. Eat your biscuits and gravy, you can smoke and drink. Ain't one gonna care what nobody thinks. Another man done, sing along everybody. Another man done a full go round. Winter, summer, spring or fall, got to go when the good Lord calls. He made us laugh until we'd cried, never gonna get a chance to say goodbye. Another man done a full go round. Another man done a full go round. Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that in drop D tuning. Thank you, very kind, thank you. I'm assuming a lot here. And as Sister Godzilla used to say, when you assume you make an ass out of you and me. But thank you for any well wishes that are winging this way. And let me catch up with your notes, comments, questions, requests, brickbats. Thank you, John Mooney. Hi, Richard Cruiser. Charlie Howell. Hey there in Alameda. Terrific. Chris Ross. Johnston Melbastad. Johnston, where are you these days? Are you on a boat or have you landed somewhere? John Green is watching. Great photographer out of the Pennsylvania area. Woodacre Golf Course. Terrific. Really? Is that where you are for real, Bob McKinney? Mark Petrella's watching. Arden, you won the spelling bee in third grade. Do you remember the word the other person got spelled down on? Just perverse curiosity. Doesn't matter at all. Oh, yeah, Joe Dana, yes. I did work at Griffin for a few years there in the late 90s before I hitched up with Menudo and went on the road with them. With Carol and Ed. Carol was your former sister-in-law. Oh, man alive, I need a flow chart, but cool. Patrick's up in Humboldt. Yeah, The Witch is on the list today, Charlie. That's probably the one I ought to do next. Although while I'm in, I keep screwing this up. Because The Witch is actually, it's not in Dadgad, but it sounds like Dadgad. Guitar geeks, tune in here for a second. The rest of you, this is a good time to go get yourself a cool, refreshing beverage, because we're going to geek out for just a moment here. This one, I like to sing in the key of G, but it sounds coolest when it's in this alternate tuning called Dadgad that I demonstrated until I killed everything in the 1:30 session. This is the 3 o'clock session. Let me reach over here briefly and get this. So I like to play it in the key of G, but to make it sound like Dadgad is essentially, oh gosh, here I go into deep water, is essentially an E sus4 chord capoed up 2. The stuff you got, there's an E sus4. It's got that, it's like the first chord in Behind Blue Eyes, etc., etc. It's got that sound suspended. It's suspended. It's got suspense to it. That's what Dadgad is, except you tune down to get those notes, and you're in the key of D. But it has that sound all by itself. So what you can do, and this is super extra tricky, and this is probably a good time for me to mention. Why, yes, thank you very much. Tip jars are open and available. Do you know tips, and I've seen this many times, perhaps you don't know this because unless you've been on stage with the tip jar in front of you, you don't know that a clear bucket with the word tips on it from the back says spit. In the same way, you probably don't know that in a bar, a Miller Time neon sign from your perspective, from the stage perspective, because that's shining out into the street, says emit relum. That's enough tip jar information. Yes, it's paypal.me/Stevie Coyle, or if you go to PayPal and you want to use the email address, it's just stevie@steviecoyle.com. Boy, there's a lot of Stevie Coyle in there. And thankfully, the Venmo address to send to is, once you're on Venmo, just Mighty Fine Guitars, all one word. No caps, no nothing. Just mash it all together. Mash it all together, Luke. All right. Oops. There we go. Isn't this slick? This is so slick, man. So, back to... We're going to simulate Dadgad. I'm capoed 3. And I'm going to pretend like I'm playing out of an E shape. Pale was the... But instead of... I'm going to have a capo help me out and play this ostensible E sus chord shape all by itself so that I can play on top of that and get that cool dadgaddy sound. This is the other capo you can use. You're using 2 capos, which is so cool. Man, people dig that. Here's what you do. You don't use the long part of the capo. You use that little bit there. And you sling it over the top like this. There are people on here that know all about this. Fred knows all about this. And and Frank, Mark, all them dadgat types know all these tricks. So this way, need a little bit of retuning, that's the thing. And the cool thing about it is you can play. I was going to save the little guitar lesson for the end of the lesson, for the end of the show here, but here we are. You can play all your regular chord shapes. So as this goes by, pay attention to the story because it's really cool. This is a 600-year-old Scottish saga written by a guy in 1968. Archie Fisher wrote this, and I think it was 1968. Pale was the wounded knight that bore the Rowan shield. Loud and cruel were the raven's cries that feasted on the field, saying, "Beck, water cold and clear will never clean your wound. There's none but the witch of the Westmere land that can make thee hale and soon. So turn, turn your stallion's head till his red mane flies in the wind, and the rider of the moon goes by and the bright star falls behind. And clear was the paly moon when his shadow passed him by. Below the hills were the brightest stars when he heard the owlet cry, saying, "Why do you ride this way? And wherefore came you here? I seek the witch of the Westmere land that dwells by the winding mere, and it's weary by the All's water in the misty brake fern way, till through the cleft of the Kirkstone Pass the winding water lay." He said, "Lie down, my brindle hound, it's been a good grey hawk, and thee, my steed, may graze thy fill, for I must dismount and walk. Come when you hear my horn, and answer swift the call, for I fear ere the sun will rise this morn, you will serve me best of all. And it's down to the water's brim he's borne the Rowan shield, and the golden rod he has cast in to see what the lake might yield. And wet rose she from the lake, and fast and fleet went she, one half the form of a maiden fair with a jet black mare's body. And loud, long and shrill he blew till his steed was by his side. High overhead the grey hawk flew, and swiftly he did ride, saying, "Course well, my brindle hound, and fetch me the jet black mare. Stoop and strike, my good grey hawk, and bring me the maiden fair." She said, "Pray sheathe thy silvery sword, Lay down the rowan shield, for I see by the briny blood that flows you've been wounded in the field. And she stood in a gown of velvet blue, bound round with a silver chain, and she's kissed his pale lips once and twice, and 3 times round again. And she's bound his wounds with the golden rod, full fast in her arms he lay, and he has risen hale and sound with the sun high in the day. She said, ride with your brindle hound at heel, and your good grey hawk in hand, where's none can harm the knight who's lain with the witch of the Westmere land. Oh, isn't that a great song? Man, oh man. Pseudo-Dadgad tuning as well. The song is by Archie Fisher, who is great. If you're not hip to Archie Fisher, get hip. He's out there on the YouTubes, and man, he's really, really something. He wrote a sequel to that song, which he also gave to the band I was with, and we recorded that as well. And the word on the street, the word on the loch, is that there's a third piece of that trilogy coming up. I thought I was in Dadgad. I fooled myself. Now there is, as you can tell, a little bit of retuning involved in that little adventure. Anybody out there got perfect pitch? If so, I'm really sorry. Do you remember the you guitar nerds out there? And there are several. I recognize you here. Oh, thank you for the applause there. I see that. That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Arden. Perhaps you remember, as I do, in the old, probably Frets magazine and Guitar Player magazine, this photograph. It was a 2-page spread of this goofy-looking kid smiling real big and holding up some CDs, or probably cassette tapes at the time, 8-tracks, I don't know. I learned to have perfect pitch. Wow. Don't do it. Don't do it. Perfect pitch is not where you want to be. Those people that I know that have perfect pitch, that are cursed with it, say they wish they didn't have it, because it's really hard to listen to most music that isn't perfectly on pitch. So there. Feel better about your deficiencies. I do. There were other requests, and I'm getting way behind on my little notices here. Let's see here. McNevin played shortstop. Very good. All right. In what key? Perfect pitch is a curse. That's right, Mike Stevens. Right. I've missed something here. Backdrop. Jeffrey Eubanks, what are you talking about? This is, perhaps you can hear the... No, it's very quiet. Perhaps you can hear the lawnmower and the sprinklers and the garbage trucks that actually did go by earlier. Dan Durkin is watching. Hey, great. Here's some East Bay types. A fellow denizen of the Far East Bay. Very good, John. Terrific. All right. Hey there, Valerie May. Hi, Ducky. Ducky's watching from the other room. She must have finished up her Spanish class. So there were other requests here, some Yorma stuff. I want to do the song I did before because it's a beaut, and I dig it a ton, and it's really fun to play. And it's called Genesis. This is off the first Jorma solo record. I'm talking as if you know who I'm talking about. Jorma Kaukonen. Even if you don't know, you know him. You probably know him as being one of the guitarists in the Jefferson Airplane. Excuse me. And Hot Tuna. For us guitar nerds, he's half a Hot Tuna or a third of Hot Tuna these days. And he did a solo album after the Hot Tuna record called Qua. And this was the one that just sort of stuck in my brain from Qua all those years ago. The time has come for us to pause and think of living as it was. Into the future we must cross, and I'd like to go with you. I'd like to go with you, Valerie May. You say I'm harder than a wall, a marble shaft about to fall. But I love you dearer than them all, so let me stay with you. The time we borrowed from ourselves can't stay within a vault to dwell, and living turns into a lender's well. Going along with you, going along with you. And though I'm feeling you inside, my life is rolling with the tide. I'd like to see it be an open ride, going along with you, going along with you. And as we came out into view, and there I found myself with you, and breathing felt like something new, going along with you, going along with you. Jorma Kaukonen, boy oh boy. Jerry, to those that knew him all those years and years ago, saw a thing on the Facebooks. Somebody posted a thing and I reposted it swiftly. It was a hand-drawn advertisement from a local newspaper, I think probably on the peninsula somewhere, advertising lessons by Jerry Kaukonen and Paul Kantner and Jerry Garcia. Call this number to take lessons from these gentlemen. 1962, I think, was the date on that newspaper. Wow. Give me that time machine. Sign me up. You bet. Well, I think it's about time for a word from our sponsor. Our sponsor today is Fig Newton. So stay tuned. Punch a little button right over here.
Hi, gang. Big Fig here with that great new dance, the Newton. Hit it, Hal. Gooey, gooey, rich and chewy inside. Golden, flaky, tender, cakey outside. Wrap the inside and the outside is a good darn tootin'. Doing the big Fig Newton. Here's the tricky part. The big Fig Newton. One more time. The big Fig Newton.
There's the tricky part. Did you make it through the tricky part? Fig Newtons, man. They're full of figgy goodness and bugs. Because that's how, well, I won't tell you because that'd bum you out. But whatever you do, if you love figs, whatever you do, don't look up how they happen, how they are bred and born. Kind of put me off figs. Except the fig dance, the big fig dance, which we'll all learn. So go back if you would, and along about whatever minute mark we are here, is you can learn the big fig dance. Hit it, Hal. Always start off with hit it, Hal, and don't forget to do this on. This is the tricky part. You'll be all right. Were there any other requests? I've completely lost track here. Ducky, are there any requests? I think she's still in her Spanish lesson. Oh, look at all these comments. Hey, Irene and Ian McDonald Brown. I just played the Witch a little while ago. I hope you caught it. If not, you can go back and catch it. And that's especially for you, because I know you love that song, and I do too. It's 3:54. I have a lesson at 4 o'clock to give, folks, so I'll play one more real quick and get the heck out of here. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Stevie Coyle. Here's the tip jar information that I know you're clamoring for. Right there. That's where if you're so moved, if you need a little karma, if you need a little good karma because you've accrued tons of bad karma being indoors with your relatives for 3 months straight, then you can, and Catholics, lapsed Catholics, this is a little time off in purgatory. If you'd care to drop something in the tip jar there, the spit jar is what we see on stage. PayPal.me/Stevie Coyle, or if you go to PayPal.com, open up your account, you can send a little moolah, a little few simoleons, a few shekels over to Stevie at StevieCoyle.com. If you're on Venmo, 2 snaps up to you. It's much more modern. And that is the account over there is just Mighty Fine Guitars. Capital M. You don't have to put any capitals in. Just Mighty Fine Guitars all mashed together. Thanks very much for tuning in. And I'll play one quick one, and then we'll sign off. Oh, I'll leave that up. What the hell? No, I won't, because it's blocking the guitar. I wouldn't like that. There we go. I always like to see what the hands are doing. Thank you to Miss Valerie for helping out on that first thing, and I hope you learned some good Spanish today. Me llamo Juan y voy a la biblioteca con Pepe. There's my Spanish, pretty much. Everybody. That was the tricky part. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back on Monday night at 7:30 Pacific Time, and I'm going to do a little webcast from Mighty Fine Guitars on the Mighty Fine Guitars Facebook page tomorrow at 12:30. And I'm not sure what I'm going to feature, but might be kind of cool and surprising. Stop on in if you can at 12:30 Pacific Time. Mighty Fine Guitars page. I'll be webcasting from my shop just a mere mile from here. A mere mile from here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And let me hit our sign off here, and I'll bid you a fond farewell.
This is the seal of good practice. It identifies WCBS-TV Channel 2 as a subscriber to the television code of the National Association of Radio and Television Broadcasters. Remember, this seal assures you that WCBS-TV Channel 2 maintains high standards for the television programs designed to entertain and inform you. It is the seal of good practice. Before signing off, may we suggest for your further pleasure tonight that you switch now to radio and enjoy music till dawn. Bob Hall brings you pleasant melodies throughout the night on WCBS Radio, 880 on your radio dial.